Good evening, gentlemen. uh, मेरे ख्याल ये करेक्ट टाइम है आपके साथ एक टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करने के लिए, एंड दैट टॉपिक कंसर्न्स द मालदीव्स. ना मालदीव्स जो है बेसिकली इज ए इस्लामिक कंट्री. ये पॉइंट वी मस्ट बेयर इन माइंड. और जो भी थिंकिंग उनकी गवर्नमेंट की है दैट इज कंडीशनड बाय इस्लाम, एंड वो भी सुन्नी इस्लाम. हालांकि द पॉपुलेशन जो है द रेशियल स्टॉक इज द सेम एज दोज ऑफ साउथ इंडिया. बट इन द लास्ट इलेक्शन there was a sort of earthquake, I can say, when a party came to power which was anti-India. When I say anti-India, I will like to clarify and say that perhaps at the back of the mind is anti-Hindu. Maldives are a small group of islands rather, spread over a large area of 3 to 400 kilometers. And these islands were earlier under the rule of the British, before the British gave independence to them. I have yet not understood how the British handed over comparative islands like Lakshadweep to India, but did not hand over Maldives to India. Well, fact is a fact, and the Maldives lived in the shadow of India for many decades, but now the situation has become very serious. Serious in the sense that there is a great power rivalry in the Indian Ocean, and the man in the China shop is the communist China led by President Xi. Xi has got now some massive ambitions, and one of these ambitions is to dominate the world, and he would like to dominate the Indian Ocean because this is the place through which the main trade routes to China and Southeast Asia from Europe and Africa are alive. I will continue, gentlemen. Before that, I would just digress a little and request you all to subscribe to my videos. It will be a great morale boost to me, and I'll feel extremely pleased if you could do that. I would like you not only to subscribe, but to share it, and if needs be, comment. And if you can press the bell icon, that will be the icing on the cake. Anyway, gentlemen, the situation which in the Maldives is pretty serious as far as India is concerned. India was maintaining a contingent of troops there to help the Maldives, but the new government has insisted that the troops leave, and they have left. And now there's something very dangerous happening, because we've just learned that China has signed a defense agreement with the Maldives. That is, they will be supplying items of defense equipment to the Maldives free of cost. Now, the Maldives are really not concerned about what the Chinese do to the Muslims in their region, and they are gung ho of being friends with China. They have forgotten that the Chinese have persecuted the Uyghur minority in Xinjiang, with the result that almost 200,000 of them are in concentration camps, which they call them as correction camps. And the Uyghur women left behind are easy prey to the Han Chinese who marry them, beget children. Not only that, the Chinese have banned Ramadan and the fasting that goes with it. They frown on the Muslim prayer of 5 times a day, and they have banned the burqa. And despite all this, we have the Maldivian president singing paeans and songs and poems about China. And he talks something against India all the time. So the question is, what should India do? Now, the old policy of Pandit Nehru and all these people, Shastri and all these people, was well, you do whatever you like, we are happy, we'll continue as it is. It's not the same thing now. And I think the change came with when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, I think it was in 87 or 88, when he authorized an attack to save the government in the Maldives. And that time, a contingent of Indian troops in an Illusion 76 IL-76 aircraft took off from Agra under the command of Brigadier Balsara. And with the loss of one soldier, the mission was accomplished. It was successful. The rebels who had come to take over the government were overthrown and they ran away. They were caught by the Indian Navy and handed over to the government. So that is a silver lining in the crowd, because it shows that Maldives can be easily taken over. Now, people will ask me, why should India take over the Maldives? I think there's no two opinions about it, and I do not know what is the thinking of the government, because what happens in the long range if China makes a nuclear submarine base in the Maldives or something like that, and you can well imagine they'll have the entire South India at their mercy. So we got to do something about it. And I will suggest to the Indian government that it's about time what Rajiv Gandhi did way back in 87 needs to be replicated rather. We have to move into the Maldives in a big way. And I don't think India should really be scared about anything else, because there's no comparative power around us which can match the Indian effort in the Maldives. To think that China is going to come to the aid of the Maldives by attacking in the Himalayas is a lot of bull. It's not going to happen. China also knows its limitations. And apart from needling India, I think China really has no plan whatsoever, because the Chinese economy is sinking. This is a known fact. Number two, whatever investments they made in Pakistan, their bum chum, have floundered, and the Chinese deep pockets are shrinking. Whether the Chinese like to hear this or no, but this is the factual truth. And China, I don't think, can continue in this vein of giving loans and money and getting nothing in return for much longer. It's going to affect the Chinese economy in a way in which the Chinese would never have anticipated. China also has to face the danger in the Pacific, because that is where the Seventh Fleet is active, and it has been active there for the last 7 decades. It's more of a paper tiger, maybe I can't say, but a paper tiger is still a tiger, and the Chinese don't want to test whether it's a paper tiger or a real tiger, because China does not have any amphibious capability to mount any invasion in any of the islands of the Eastern Pacific. So, gentlemen, what does India do in such a situation? We got a powerful navy, 170 ships, 2 aircraft carriers, the third one coming soon, and I see no reason why Modi cannot flex his muscles. Well, there could be a meeting in the Security Council, it will be there, but we will look to backing from the Americans and the Russians together. I don't think Russia is too enamored of China. Let's be very clear about it, and they got nothing much to do with the Maldives. And America would be more than happy if the Maldives taken over by India and the Chinese thrown out, because they know that a Chinese base there could be an absolute threat to America, because the American shipping is coming through the Red Sea down to the Straits of Malacca to Japan and the Far East. As it is, the Americans don't have much of a cohesive policy in fighting the Houthis. I mean, I've not understood. What is the American plan? Even earlier I made it very clear that sending a few bombers and missiles and bombing a few batteries here and there is not going to make the Houthis back down until their military potential is degraded to a great extent. And that can only happen once Iran is brought to book. Now, Iran is getting the backing of Russia. Why? Because the Russians have felt very hurt with what all the Americans did in Ukraine. I mean, it's an interconnected world. When the American presidents were expanding NATO eastward, they never thought that there would be a reaction. They thought Russia, well, we control Russia. It's not so easy. The Russian economy is thriving despite all the sanctions which the Americans had put on them, and it's the Americans who are floundering. They don't know what to do. So, gentlemen, let's be very clear, and America should also be very clear to realize which side the bread is buttered. And if the Indians do take over the Maldives, I don't think America is going to be greatly perturbed. I think they would be very happy about it. So, gentlemen, now the old saying, bite the bullet. You remember the Lone Ranger, that famous cowboy who used silver bullets? Well, he used to use the silver bullets to lethal effect. So, gentlemen, it's about time the Indian leadership led by Narendra Modi decided that time has come to teach the Maldives a lesson they'll never forget. And I don't know how many soldiers will be required to put the Maldives down. Maybe just a plane load of soldiers, 500 to 600 of them, flying in the new star lifter which the Indians have got from the Americans should be about enough. And then, once a friendly regime is set up there, the Indians can have a military presence. And I think the new government, whichever comes, may like to try the present Maldivian president for treason. I don't want to name that man. I mean, he's such a small fish, and the moment I see him, I can see the ugly face of the Maldives, and the fact that he's propagating everything as per the Sunni thought. I don't know how Maldives can really continue. They are suffering economically, and they're hoping that the Chinese are going to come there. They don't know what the Chinese are going to do. So I think the Indian tourist traffic has gone down, no doubt about it, and it's about time that the whip was cracked. When you want to ride a horse, you got to use the crop. And if India has to make its presence felt in the Indian Ocean, the Maldives is a key factor. And we cannot have a Chinese base operating there and Indians just keeping silent and, clapping their hands. It's not done. So India will have to intervene. I would suggest sooner the better. And it requires a lot of courage, of course, because such invasions these days do invite a lot of condemnation from other nations, but that's all. It can't be done. Can't be helped. We have to do it. What is necessary for the security of India has to be done. After all, the Americans did the same in Ukraine. And now they're fighting in Israel, and they are at their wits' end. So it would be in the stress of the Americans that India occupies, or rather throws out the present government. And that can only be by a surgical strike. I look forward to this day when India does it. Well, they may do it, they may not do it, but as a military theoretician and a historian, I feel that is the need of the hour. Well, gentlemen, I think I will close now, and I will once again request you to subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. In the meanwhile, take care and God bless.